the big story coming in right now is that it's a big relief for Donald Trump, who will be assuming office very soon as the president of the U.S. He has got no jail time in penalties in the sentence. In the sentence of for the hush money conviction, President-elect Donald Trump has been sentenced to unconditional discharge for his conviction last year on 34 charges of business fraud related to hush money payment to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign. So that's a big update coming in right now. That means he can now assume presidency without any jail time or fines. Big update coming in right now on Republic TV. Unconditional discharge means Trump will not be imprisoned, fined or face probation, but his conviction still stands and he will enter office as a convicted felon, which is a big update because Trump becomes the first president-elect convicted of a felony. So this is the big update coming in right now on Republic TV. Just ahead of Donald Trump preparing for the second term as the president of the United States. Inauguration days on January 20th for President-elect Trump, when he will assume office. And we are being joined right now by our guest joining us. We have two guests joining us. One is Eric Ryan Lehemokale, joining us live from Atlanta, Georgia. And I just want to go across to you, Mr. Eric, who is joining us right now. So unconditional discharge, what does that really mean for the president-elect Donald Trump? Now, we know that the hush money trial has been haunting him for quite a while now. But what does this specific unconditional discharge really mean?
So thank you for having me on. And so what this means is, so Donald Trump is going to avoid any prison time or any extra sentencing on this. They're basically going to take this case and say, okay, we're going to give you the felony, but then we're going to go ahead and just allow you to finish your transition back into the White House without any really sentence penalty.
Yes. Also, if you could take our viewers through once more, Eric, because you're a journalist and you have been a journalist based in the United States, and you must be following this trial for a while now. Just take our viewers through, this entire case. What's the background of it? We know that this is the Stormy Daniels case. 2016 presidential campaign is when this case came to light. It really made a huge waves and marred his presidential campaign to some degree. He did win, but it was a big controversy at that time, Eric.
Correct. So this case started out around a year ago, and I think what they were trying to do was time this out to where this would start to conclude around the time where voters in America would start casting their vote or start weighing options as to which candidates they were going to choose. I think it was to kind of, lean towards the independent voters a little bit. But as far as the case itself, it revolved around mainly two witnesses. One was Hope Hicks, who worked in the Trump administration, and her information basically was, she came out and said, look, Donald Trump was, glad that this came out way before the election. If it had gone a little bit closer to the November 5th date, this would have been very hurtful for his campaign. So that was one of the witnesses. The other one was Michael Cohen, who was the one who transitioned the money for Donald Trump. And he was also involved in the investigation and was under indictment at the time when he made his claims, and was able, the prosecution, which was Alvin Bragg's office in New York City, they were able to get him to switch over and start to testify against Donald Trump in exchange for a lighter plea deal, which happened, which still managed to land Michael Cohen in jail.
Right. Hold on, Eric. We are also being joined by Aruna Airi, political analyst live from New Jersey, joining us. I'm going to take a question to Aruna Airi. Mr. Airi, we have two guests, you and Mr. Eric. Both of you are joining us from the United States. So the question I have for you is, what do you really make out of what has happened? Now, this has happened in the hush money trial, the unconditional discharge, the relief for Donald Trump is coming just ahead of him taking office. How do you really read this situation?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for the invitation to come on the show. I think most people are criticizing the word unconditional, although that word unconditional was I won't say excuse, but was meant as a deference to his position as the incoming president of the U.S. But the word unconditional, I think, is drawing some criticism. But nevertheless, I think the next steps are pretty much well assumed. Mr. Trump would, I believe, he would file for an appeal in the state Supreme Court, and if that doesn't work, I think the next step would be to go to the High Court. So these are pretty much assumed, and I'm pretty sure he would pursue that route. Like my fellow panelist was mentioning, this was timed out. Well, this was timed, I should say, to coincide with the elections and things of that nature. But what did not work for his opponents was, I think, the other presidential candidate was deemed pretty weak. So I think those marred all the other convictions and trials and things of that nature from Trump's side. But I think the next steps anyway. The next steps I think would be filing for an appeal, the state Supreme Court and the High Court. And I don't think that's going to be anytime soon, right? So I think that word unconditional, good or bad, was to ensure a smooth transition, I guess, for the incoming president. That's good news for him. And another thing which Trump has been mentioning, the incoming president Trump has been mentioning for quite some time, is about the presidential immunity. So the immunity he enjoys as a president. Right now, it's kind of hazy because he's not a president yet. He was a former president, and he is an incoming president, but he's not a current president. So even if you assume that immunity applies to him, I'm not sure if it applies to him by virtue of his position, which is just a citizen at this point.
Right.
But that's something to explore because, like I said, I don't expect any of these trials or any the appeals to have pretty much soon. So he would have all the time. And by the time these things pick up traction, he would become the president. So, yeah.
Yes, and also, Mr. Arun, just one more question to you. We see that Donald Trump has called this a witch hunt. He said this is a witch hunt against me. But the prosecutors there say that the soon-to-be president thinks that he's above the law. So this is very important to note because Donald Trump has always defended his position in multiple controversies, in multiple cases.
Well, I would say that's a platitude because, and I can't think of anybody who would welcomingly accept any accusations, especially a presidential candidate. So I think there is a bit of a witch hunt element in it because all of these are politically motivated. I don't think, not that I hope for, but I don't think if you and I were in that position, anybody would care for a witch hunt, given his position, given his statements on the campaign trail. And given his either popularity or unpopularity, however you put it, it's only natural that his political opponents would call it witch hunt, and he would call this act as witch hunt and blame his political opponents. and rightfully so. His political opponents have been calling him as a convict, first person ever, a candidate ever to be convicted, running for, or felon. At this point, he is a convicted felon, right? Because a sentence has been passed. So I think these are all. But I don't think the American citizens, the voters, took that too seriously. They might have a little bit, but not over time. As we got closer to the D-Day, which is the first week of November, Election Day, I don't think the voters took that too seriously. They were paying attention to the pocketbook issues, the economy, inflation, immigration, and things of that nature. I'm not too surprised.
Right.
And I won't be surprised if you look at the video, the time when the sentence was the trial was going on, he was kind of looking around, he was shrugging, he was not, showing denial and things of that nature. So I think that's just human nature, I would say.
Right. Okay. I just want to take one more question to Mr. Eric, and before we wrap it up, I want you to just comment a little bit more on what Mr. Arun has just said. He was saying that that maybe the American voters are not too much affected by these controversies and cases because they have more important issues to think about. What do you think? Do you think that this would have an effect on the public image of Donald Trump as he takes over the presidency soon?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Arun. The momentum ran out, and they had stacked all these other court cases together over here, thinking that if we just engulf the American public with all these court cases and create these potential labels for President Trump, that would affect him by November, and that didn't happen. The gas kind of ran out on that play. And so it became a big issue to where their strategy didn't work. The left strategy did not work. And so they got desperate, because what happened was the issues, just like what Arun said, the issues, immigration, crime, the major issues on the ballot outweighed what I call the circus that was all the Trump trials. The issues mattered and the circus didn't. At the end of the day, that's basically what it broke down to.